How are you when it comes to working with analytical and non-visual clients? Are you confident working with them, knowing that you can go into any of your sessions with these types of clients and help them get the results that they've paid you for? And so I want to talk about this because the traditional methods are something that is quite difficult to fit these types of clients in. And personally, I am that highly analytical and non-visual client. If you ask me to visualize colors or like an apple, I don't know what the fuck that means, right? Like it's non-visual. And so instead of forcing me to visualize, my unconscious mind and my nervous system has solved my problems all my life. So why are you trying to get me to visualize when the way I solve problems is very unique, right? That doesn't make any fucking sense. And so this was exactly why I was quite blocked with regards to my hypnosis business um while I was using traditional methods. Like it worked for a lot of people, but it really just minimally helped me. And so this is exactly why I've switched to principles, right? Switched to specificity. So the best way to approach highly analytical and non-visual clients is to have a very specific approach that is for them. And I know you're like, duh, Fritz. I'm already doing that. But if you are using guided imagery, if you are writing up metaphors for days, if you're using language patterns, if you're scripting or even writing your own script for your clients, that is not specific because it assumes that you as a practitioner know exactly how your client will solve the problem and you're trying to control and steer it into the direction of what you think the client should need instead of what they actually need. Massive difference. And so this is where specificity comes into play. There are very specific ways for each and every person in this world to solve their problems. I currently have a client, a one-to-one client who is very analytical. She's actually more analytical than me. And so the approach that I used with her was I used her logic, right? I utilized her logic. I utilized the fact that she loves strategizing, right? And because of that, she was able to open up quickly. Her guard went down. You want to remember this, right? The unconscious mind is fucking stubborn. It is stubborn because if it didn't, all our lives will change just from a click of a finger, right? The truth of the matter is, we like the idea of change, but we actually don't want the change. And so, if you're changing your client's natural problem solving ability, their natural way to solve their problems, their natural way of doing things, their natural way of perceiving the world, because you have learned that EFT is the best thing ever, then that really negates the person in front of us, our clients, which is a disservice. And so, really, for the next time that you have those analytical and non-visual clients, can you just pause and be curious with regards to how they are, how they present themselves? Inside the neurosync hypnotic questioning trainings, we focus our trainings mostly on this, focusing on filtering conscious versus unconscious information, because that's really it, right? There, our client, those types of clients, the analytical clients, are really stuck trying to solve problems consciously when we know that we got to fight fire with fire. An unconscious problem needs unconscious tools, right? And so when you're able to really determine what type of information is unconscious, more unconscious than conscious, then if you focus your client's attention on that based on how they present to you right then and there, that is how you're going to increase their outcomes. That is how they'll open up to you within the first 5 to 10 minutes. That is how they'll receive their healing faster. That is how you move them out of their pain faster. And I'll give you an example. Actually, I'll ask you right now, what are the signs that the unconscious mind is in action based on what you've learned? What is the language of the nervous system? What is the language of the unconscious mind? Because it's not words, right? So if you're trying to write the best words for your hypnotic suggestion, you're bringing a knife to a gunfight, right? You need unconscious versus unconscious things. That just makes sense, right? And so if that client is metaphorical, maybe they use their own metaphors to describe their problem. And the client that I have is very much metaphorical. We talked about like battles and weapons and stuff like that. And so that's how I approached her in her sessions, asking her about weapons, having the conversation directed towards these weapons and the cape and the shield. That's how she expressed herself, right? And so that is how you want to actually address your client. If I went into this client and I was like, let's do this, let me tell you a bedtime story and read you a script, that shit ain't gonna work for her. No, like I can't imagine. It also doesn't work for me, but I am also quite metaphorical in me describing my symptoms and how I solve problems, right? And so play fire with fire really is the best approach for these non-visual clients. And just because someone is non-visual doesn't mean it just means that they don't process things visually, right? They process things in other ways, maybe more auditory, maybe more kinesthetic, right? And so if they're talking about feeling things in their bodies, then you get to talk about feeling things in their bodies and not a visualization, because that was what the I love myself self-love script said you needed to do. Right. And so this is a highly unconventional approach, very, very much different. But if you do open up and allow yourself to be more open to this approach, this is the future, right? More and more people are becoming coaches and hypnotists, which is fan freaking tastic, because we do need this service. But at the same time, it's the same shit, right? It's the same thing you can download online. How are you going to stand out? The competition is just going to get worse. You stand out by learning the foundational skill set of how to actually work with people, how their mind works, how their body works, how they problem solve. Because then, if you know that, then you've got the foundations down and you can work with anybody confidently, whether or not they can visualize or whether or not they're stuck just up here in their heads thinking. It doesn't really matter. That client has solved their problems most of their life. And even if they're highly cognitive, you can still help them out confidently. And this is exactly what the neurosync trainings are all about, helping any client, because and you'll know how to work with people instead of work on the symptom problem. So, what are your thoughts on this? Let me know, and I will see you.